Welcome to the Sykes Bottom Line Pharmacy Podcast, your regular dose of pharmacy CPA advice to fuel your bottom line, featuring pharmacists, key vendors, and other innovators.
We the best, Sykes and Company. We the
Well,
best.
hello, and welcome
Sykes
to
and
another
Company.
episode of the
Yeah.
Bottom Line Pharmacy Podcast. Today, obviously, we have our normal guest here, Scotty and Kendell from Sykes and Company, and myself, Bonnie Bond. And we also have with us today the head of pharmacy at Biolyte, Kris Rhea. How you doing, Kris?
Hey, Bonnie. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, we're super excited. We're trying to take this podcast completely different subjects every time we do it, different areas of pharmacy. And we met Kris at in his company at a lot of the trade shows this year, this summer. And you
Popular
guys
booth.
definitely a popular booth. Definitely saw lots of people going around with those Biolyte bottles. I tried one myself for the first time. We were all doing that. So tell us a little bit about what you do, Kris, at Biolyte, and kind of what you guys are all about.
Right. Yeah. So I've been in independent pharmacy for about a decade now, first with a wholesaler, and I met the owners of Biolyte in Atlanta and loved the product. I was always trying to find solutions for pharmacies and, good products that were different and for the front end, and decided to work with them after several years of seeing how my pharmacies were doing with it. And so now my whole goal is to educate our independent pharmacy community on how they can integrate Biolyte into their front end and utilize it in their community.
And you mentioned front end, and that's huge in pharmacy right now. I think we definitely are seeing people move away. We've talked about this a lot on the podcast, from just filling scripts in a pharmacy. Obviously wellness and all sorts of different other services that you can provide to the community. And obviously everybody has, the normal OTC items. And obviously we have a lot of people with gift items, but this is actually taking it to a level of offering, in my opinion, something out front that is actually still, dealing with care and wellness of the patient. So something that they can deal with, that they need. Maybe they're picking up their script for some sort of sickness. This is sort of a supplementary type of OTC item.
Right. These customers are coming into these pharmacies because they're trying to recover from something, right?
Right.
And what I'm trying to do and what I'm hoping these stores understand is, with all the challenges on the back end, that front end can be seen as an asset. It's not a liability. You need to take advantage of that real estate and offer solutions and become a healthcare destination, to be there to educate their customers on how products can create wellness in their life. And, I think that the more stores get excited about that, the more they're going to be sustainable in this challenging economic period.
Kris, you mentioned educating the pharmacies about that front end. What can you kind of elaborate on that, and kind of what you're trying to get across to pharmacies about their front end, and how Biolyte, I guess, plays a part in that. That front end is it can be very valuable. We see pharmacies all over really can turn their front end into a very valuable component of their pharmacy, especially with niche products you can't get elsewhere, such as a Biolyte. I don't think you can really get that everywhere. And so can you kind of talk about how you are educating pharmacies and how you're trying to get your point across about why a niche product like Biolyte is a good fit?
Right. So, that front end can either be a bridge from a customer perception or a moat. So as they walk in that door, I've walked in about 2,000 of them, how that, portrayal of that, are you a education center that is really connecting to your patient population, or are you, someone that's just barely hanging on? So first of all, what is the perception of your store to your customers? Two, with, COVID kind of growing pharmacies opportunities from a point of care testing standpoint, from a collaboration standpoint with other healthcare professionals, how to maximize products like Biolyte or nutraceuticals when you are doing these tests or doing these education opportunities with your customers. So say somebody comes in, they feel bad, and you do a flu, strep, COVID test on them. Okay, yeah, they are positive. Now what? I would have some solutions, some bundled packaging there to say, this is what someone that's tested positive for needs to be using the next, week. And Biolyte and Tamiflu, all those things can be opportunities for you to increase your cash-based revenue.
And obviously,
I guess we kind of never. What is Biolyte? Did we cover that? I mean,
yeah,
did we miss that? I don't know.
So yeah, it's essentially what it is it's a drinkable IV bag that an anesthesiologist made when his wife had breast cancer.
Nice.
Essentially he was trying to help her, battle the fatigue, the nausea, and then flush her system of the chemo drugs. So he created it out of love, and now independent pharmacies are using it from everything from, cold and flu and COVID and stomach bugs all the way to muscle cramping and heat exhaustion. So it's
and hangovers. If you were in Las Vegas, there was a good old hangover line.
Biolyte. Yeah, I'll never forget us being. It was years ago. We were at breakfast one morning, which is when all the people are finally coming in from their night on the town, and we were sitting next to. I think Scotty and I and Alan were sitting next to these girls who were hooked up to IV poles at breakfast. Blew my mind.
Just get a bottle of Biolyte. But now
you don't have to do that anymore. It seems a whole lot more simple.
And how much
it's fun
I'm sorry. How much Biolyte do you have to take to get those benefits? Is it something like you have to chug a couple of bottles, or how much?
No. So, Kendell, one bottle equals 6 to 7 sports drinks from an electrolyte perspective. Wow. So, it is intense electrolytes, and that's what people notice. It tastes different, but the only difference in actually getting an IV in this is, obviously it's going through your intestinal wall, so it takes about 25 minutes to work, but the benefits of rehydration and kind of eliminating those symptoms that you're dealing with are there. It's funny because some of the stores, they think, hey, this is a marketing gimmick, and you can see the cynicism in their eyes, but I say, look, I'm going to leave some samples with you, just trust me, give it to some of your customers or use it when you need it. And we usually make believers out of them after they try it.
I know I spoke to many pharmacists at the show, and then even some of our clients recently who carry your product, and they all spoke very highly of it. I mean, they use it themselves. I drink it every day. They love it. But just looking at your website, you can definitely see that this is touching athletes, obviously those that are sick, that need, again, I'm thinking about stomach viruses, flus, cancer patients I saw. So it seems like it could really touch a lot of different, people of the population in the community. And obviously on a pharmacy perspective, as far as income this is obviously a cash. So anything that pharmacists can offer out front like that, that you don't have to worry about insurance, claims and things of that nature is always a plus.
High margin cash.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah, I think that you touched on the versatility of the product. I always talk about, how this is kind of a Swiss Army knife of front end because it has so many applications. And then what I really try to do is teach these folks how to really be creative in utilizing products like this by going to some of the community partners that they want to do business with. So say you want to do flu shot clinics with a factory down the road, taking some over there and saying, hey, I know you have OSHA compliance around hydration here at the factory. By the way, we do flu shots, or going to the hospice company down the road, or the long-term care facility. There's just so many opportunities to take some of these niche products into community members and say, hey, we stock this. You're not going to get this everywhere. By the way, we do all these other clinical services that you might benefit from. And I've seen some of the more creative pharmacies say, yep, I'm going to take that and run with it. And it's opened some doors.
Yeah, I work with a lot of startups. One particular just was talking to us about this specific product a few weeks ago. They were using it to, they said they had purchased a lot of it, but they were using it as a giveaway as they had new, customers coming through the door. Hey, you're not feeling well. Here's your script. Try some of this, come back again, try some of this Biolyte. I think it'll help you feel better. And using that kind of in a two-prong approach there, but, having them maybe come back, hey, they gave me something for free, but then also maybe having them love the product as well and see the benefits from it.
I've also seen pharmacies do bundle boxes. So if you come in the pharmacy with the flu, and they'll have a package ready for the flu, whether it be Kleenex, whatever, Biolyte in there, or some vitamins, things like that. And, you take the bundle box home, it's got everything you need to get through the flu. So that's really neat and convenient. We've heard some success around that as well. So it's kind of really thinking outside the box, really, and how to get creative with that front end and taking care of your patients and being that wellness center, in addition to just filling those prescriptions. We got pharmacies that folks will, when they walk out the pharmacy, they've got supplements in that bag. They're going to be, they're not just walking out with scripts. They got script and supplements going in there. So, and those supplements have great margins to them.
Yep.
So that front end can really be a great asset, like you said, Kris. I'm curious, you said you've been to about 2,000 pharmacies. I'm sure you've seen a couple pharmacies that you've walked into, and it looks like, you're going back to the 1800s with the mortar and pestle back there. But talk about kind of what you see in terms of the pharmacies and looking alive and looking, up to date, and versus those pharmacies that are kind of still stuck in the way back, and they're just not modern looking pharmacies, and how that can perceive to patients and customers.
So it is crazy. It's all over the board in terms of what you see. And obviously everybody's dealing with the same challenges that they can't control. And to me, it's all about mindset. What are you going to do with this information? Are you going to be a victim, or are you going to take back control on what you can't control? And I've been in stores where literally, it's dusty. There's nothing on the shelf. And I'm scared that, hey, why would anybody fill a prescription here? Then you go in other stores that are just it's the atmosphere is unique and lively, and they have the soaps there, and as soon as you walk in the door, you're smelling like the homemade soaps of the vendor they have in town, and then they have just everything's polished and the music's playing. It's just a different environment. So what I encourage people to do is try to get outside of the store and take a look, because they're in it every day and they sometimes don't notice, but maybe ask some people like, hey, what is your perception when you walk in the door? Because I've seen everything. And I think it makes a big difference in how you design the front end and how you get your staff to engage with their customer base. And I think it's the difference in sustainability or not.
Yeah, and I know you can, I think a lot of pharmacists sometimes feel like, and I know we've had some clients in this situation where they feel like, your OTC section is just something you have to have. I mean, you've got to throw some, $5,000 out there and at least have some Band-Aids and some Aleve, whatever. It's just something you got to do. Maybe, changing that mindset and that approach to using that, I think you got to at this point. I mean, the way things are now, you have to use it more, like we've said, as a wellness, supplementary type offering at your store. And then using that to, in my opinion, to gain a relationship there with your patients as they come in and they're sick, and offering them options beyond the script to help them. And so having those things, and especially these newer things outside of the box that can help, I think just helps with the relationships at the pharmacy as well.
Yeah, Bonnie, when I was working for the wholesaler, a lot of times I would recommend maybe cutting down on the footage of your traditional OTC sections.
Yep.
And not offering orange, blueberry, all the different colors and flavors that sit there and expire. So cutting it down, bringing in some of these niche products that are more solutions based and around your consultation. So that would be my takeaway listening to this is, hey, find some different things, cut down on the traditional stuff. And a lot of times pharmacies, say, hey, this stuff's just not going to sell in my community. My market doesn't have the money. Well, a lot of times people are just looking for solutions and they're going to buy it somewhere, and you can't be passive. And stores are just scared of like, well, I don't want to be pushy. Well, you're not being pushy. You're offering solutions for health and wellness. And that's why these people are coming to you, is because they want to feel better. So think of it that way and encourage your staff to give them the proper education and motivation to to be able to connect these products to your customer base.
Well, that sounded like a great bottom line from Kris. What do you got, Kendell? What's your bottom line?
No, I think those are all awesome points. Bottom line, I think I like what you said about the out front OTC being the bridge. So you really got to think. I mean, a lot of times the pharmacy counter is lit physically in the back of the store, so the pharmacy. So what does my bridge look like?
Yeah. Does
it look inviting with products that is going to lead me to wellness? Or does it look shoddy where somebody's like, I'm not crossing this bridge? So I guess
that bridge looks old.
That bridge looks old. That bridge, like you said, looks dusty. It has a whole bunch of products that I don't need. I'm not going back there. So I think my takeaway, my bottom line, what I've learned from Kris today is you have to make that bridge about wellness and about making the consumer, the client, feel better, and they'll have trust across that bridge, and then to pick up prescriptions. So just make sure you're out front is a nice bridge people feel comfortable going over.
Mm-hmm. Scotty, you got anything?
For sure.
Your bottom line?
My bottom line is, how do I get some Biolyte? Because I got a cold and I need something.
You do need it. Oh, he's muting himself. That's good.
Excuse me.
Scotty, coming your way, buddy.
Yeah, man, I'd love
to. You're never going to be Biolyte.
I thought it tasted delicious, to be honest. You know, some people didn't like it. I loved it.
I liked it too.
Those guys were chugging those things at the trade show.
They were, boy. But no, I think my bottom line is, that front end. I like how you said it to begin with. That asset, that front end can be an asset. Invest some time and effort into that front end. Find those niche products. Find how you can fit it into your community, your patient base. Find what works. Invest in it, and turn that into some value. That front end for sure. And I like, Kendell, how you put it too. That's a great point.
Yeah.
And I do have a question. If I'm a pharmacist, where do I get a sample? How do I get my first supply?
Sure.
How do I get something I can taste and to let some of my clients taste? What's the process like?
Yeah, Kendell, if they reach out to me, I'd be glad to send them samples because we want the stores to try it and get behind it. And then it's stocked in all the major wholesalers now. So they can order it directly from their full line wholesaler and get going that way. And we have free point of sale material, signage to kind of educate consumers. So we don't want it just to sit and gather dust. So we'll be glad to send that to them as well.
And for pharmacists, I don't know how much you can share, but how would you anticipate this impacts your bottom line? When you sell a bottle, how does that impact the bottom line of the pharmacist? I'm sure they're curious.
Sure. It's over 40% margin, all cash based. We have stores that sell, 5 cases a month. And then I had one that sold 7,000 cases last year and made $250,000 off.
There you go.
So, it's kind of like anything, how you get behind it and, how you utilize it in the community. So it's just something you can play with and have fun with. And it's a fun brand that it's not stocked everywhere. So independent pharmacies have a unique opportunity right now.
And you kind of got me perked up when you said 7,000 cases, I believe it was, $250,000. Got me really perked up. How much education does my team need to know how to talk about the product and to get people's interest into that? How much education does my team need, and what resources will I have? Because, I'm looking to get 8,000 cases now after hearing what you said.
Yeah, so obviously they can reach out to me. We have a digital marketing kit that they can use on their social media pages. We have some bag stuffers, trifolds that kind of connect hydration to the different seasons and conditions. I love talking to the staff, and I loved helping them utilize it and talk to providers or long-term care facilities. So I would encourage and challenge the stores to utilize me because I've been in the industry and I want to be an active partner with them.
And Kris, you did mention the staff and how that's important. I think pharmacies really should invest in their staff as well for training and for really sales. If someone's coming to pick up that script for something and you're like, well, some Biolyte or whatever supplement would be a great addition to this or something like that. So kind of getting that staff educated and trained and pulling them into the sales process, I think can be very valuable as well. And something that's overlooked, I think, in a lot of pharmacies.
Oh, definitely. I walk in the store and obviously I'm there to kind of leave some samples, but they don't know I'm not a customer or a potential customer. And you can walk up and see someone sitting on their phone and they don't engage with you, or you can see someone that is greeting you and really is interacting with you and trying to find solutions for you. So utilize your staff, train them so they feel confident in what they're speaking to, incentivize them, utilize technology, whether it be workflow tagging, IVR. There's just so many things that are out there that you can really do to take back control of that front end and try to make your store more sustainable.
Yeah. That would be my biggest takeaway is I think figuring out, if I was a pharmacy owner, would be figuring out my community, maybe the seasons and how, summer can be, the heat could be a bigger deal in some areas than others. And you can play on that some. And then obviously being a pharmacy wellness scenario, you can play on the sickness all year round, because that's going to help with, all different sorts of scenarios. But just figuring out your community, the people that are walking your door and what makes sense to market to them. And then, like you said, I haven't even considered the employees, but making sure they understand how to sell the product and understand the product. They've used the product. They are excited about the product so that they are able to educate, the patients as they come through the door. Well, we certainly appreciate you talking with us, Kris. This morning we learned a lot.
Thank you
about
so
the
much.
Product and about the whole out front scenario for any product, really.
It's an important discussion because, again, I think it's often overlooked. That front end is not taken advantage of like some should do it. Yep,
absolutely. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
Kris.
I will see you at the next show, and I'll have a couple cold ones waiting for you. Okay?
That's great. All right. And
we'll be there.
We're signing off for the Bottom Line Pharmacy Podcast. See you till next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
We the best. Sykes and Company. Your accounting is a mess. There's no need for you to stress. Go online and request from the best. We the best. Sykes and Company.